In about 10 days, Ross is gonna throw him away. I'm gonna be real with you, Meech. If Rick Ross, seeing what he did to you, because he knew what he was doing standing on the side of him, right?
Leaked contracts can break even the toughest alliances. And in the world of high-stakes hip-hop, a single piece of paper can turn kings into pawns overnight. That's exactly what happened when certain legal documents surfaced, supposedly exposing Rick Ross in a scheme that left Big Meech stunned and betrayed. The internet is ablaze with whispers. Did Rick Ross really dupe the legendary Big Meech all over again?
I've seen a lot of posts about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick Ross is your fault.
Just like critics say he's done to other prominent figures before? And how exactly did Big Meech discover the truth hiding between the lines of those explosive contracts? Welcome to the story nobody saw coming. A tale of money, power, and cunning moves that have the entire hip-hop community spinning in disbelief. By the time we're done, you'll see how one of the most iconic names in the game ended up on the brink of ruin, and why Rick Ross might finally have nowhere to hide.
February 13th, the Big Meech benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list.
All it takes is a single leak to flip an entire narrative on its head. When news first broke online that someone had dropped a series of documents allegedly tying Rick Ross to questionable deals with Big Meech, skepticism was everywhere. People wondered if it was a publicity stunt, orchestrated by one of the many rival camps always circling around Big Meech and the BMF brand. Yet as more screenshots emerged, some tied to official legal records.
That's no noise, man. No noise. When you just feel a sharp pain in your, sharp pain in your back, you know you're in the wrong place. You wasn't supposed to be in that yard.
The conversation got serious fast. In these alleged contracts, vague language suggested that Rick Ross had promised financial support, property investments, or even business ventures to Big Meech. Arrangements meant to solidify Meech's comeback after a lengthy prison stint. But instead of a dream partnership, the terms seemed heavily skewed to benefit Rick Ross. Who leaked these documents? Some say a disgruntled employee.
I haven't forgotten my humble roots on a dirt road in South Carolina.
That's a good time to remember when your family's asking you. You're like, no, if I was on a dirt road, how much do you want?
Others suspect a jaded attorney or an ex-ally who fell out of Ross's circle. But the biggest bombshell wasn't even the existence of these deals. It was the rumor that Big Meech never fully understood the fine print until this leak forced him to confront the reality. Imagine emerging from years behind bars, putting trust in a famed mogul who had publicly hailed your name in songs, only to find out those deals might shatter your future instead of build it. For Meech, it must have felt like stepping off a ledge with no safety net in sight.
I see Mar where he's posting his liquor. You know, he's doing his thing. I even know this game. Look, that 50 Cent Meech he did.
Yeah.
Game even had to respond to that shit.
To anyone who's followed Rick Ross's career, these leaked contracts sound eerily familiar. This isn't the first time people have claimed Ross profits off larger-than-life stories that aren't really his to tell. Long before Big Meech stepped into the picture, Rick Ross had a very public clash with the real freeway Rick Ross, an actual figure from the streets whose identity Ross allegedly repurposed to launch his rap persona. And then there's Larry Hoover, whose name Ross sprinkled throughout his music for added street credibility. Critics said Ross was milking Hoover's legacy for clout, never genuinely offering anything in return. Each time, Ross somehow walked away unscathed, often doubling down on new ventures like Wingstop or real estate deals that only seemed to pad his own pockets. People pointed fingers during the so-called Boss Token fiasco, too, a failed crypto project that saw Rick Ross teased for possibly rug-pulling unsuspecting investors. By the time he distanced himself from that project, the fans who lost their money were left fuming. Now, with Big Meech's leaked contracts shining a bright light on how Ross might operate, observers see a pattern. Use someone else's name, hype up an allegedly big opportunity, rake in the benefits, and then retreat the moment things get too messy. It's one thing to hear a rumor, it's another to see actual documents that might prove it. For Big Meech, these potential revelations not only threaten his personal brand, but could also define how the public perceives his legacy going forward. You know who's been watching all of this from the sidelines with an "I told you so" smirk? 50 Cent. His long-running feud with Rick Ross is practically legend at this point.
You know, that's why you have friends since first grade, and people play standards. You know what you should ask a person? You should ask them where that concept of a relationship is coming from.
Spanning diss tracks, memes, shady social media posts, and countless jabs. Over the years, they've traded accusations about everything from authenticity to finances. Now, with these alleged contracts out in the open, 50's earlier warnings seem almost prophetic. Fans recall how 50 publicly stated he didn't trust Rick Ross's motives regarding Big Meech, pointing out that Ross had a track record of using big names to bolster his own brand. That suspicion only grew after Big Meech was seen smiling ear to ear in photos with Ross, leaving the man who helped launch BMF the series, none other than 50 Cent, visibly snubbed.
Because I don't think that it matters who's making more money. I think it matters the terms of the relationship, how you get involved in it, right? Because I think friendship is the strongest form of a relationship.
Mm-hmm. While 50 might indulge in a little gloating, he also appears genuinely frustrated. After all, he championed Big Meech's story, turning it into a lucrative TV success that put Lil Meech in the limelight. If these leaked documents are genuine, 50 has every right to feel both vindicated and exasperated. Some insiders say 50 Cent is leaning back, letting Rick Ross's alleged moves speak for themselves, while quietly deciding whether to intervene or simply watch the drama unfold. Then there are those who suspect 50 might be behind the leak, or at least connected to the source.
Because if the concept is coming from tradition, then it may not naturally match up with the way we live right now. We live in non-traditional times. This is modern times.
Could he have orchestrated the reveal of these contracts as a final blow in his ongoing war with Rick Ross? Nobody knows for sure, but in the realm of hip-hop power plays, that wouldn't be the strangest twist ever. You know who's been watching all of this from the sidelines with an "I told you so" smirk? 50 Cent. His long-running feud with Rick Ross is practically legend at this point, spanning diss tracks, memes, shady social media posts, and countless jabs. Over the years, they've traded accusations about everything from authenticity to finances. Now,
I was like, oh, what is Snoop doing that? Like that, because I'm just flashing through the different points in the Olympics. So certain parts of the Olympics that don't really have me excited.
With these alleged contracts out in the open, 50's earlier warnings seem almost prophetic. Fans recall how 50 publicly stated he didn't trust Rick Ross's motives regarding Big Meech, pointing out that Ross had a track record of using big names to bolster his own brand. That suspicion only grew after Big Meech was seen smiling ear to ear in photos with Ross, leaving the man who helped launch BMF the series, none other than 50 Cent, visibly snubbed. While 50 might indulge in a little gloating, he also appears genuinely frustrated.
I didn't do well in group sports.
Oh, see, we're opposite. I love it.
Yeah, I like to be where if I lose, it's my fault.
Oh.
Not that I know exactly why we lost, because you couldn't guard your man.
After all, he championed Big Meech's story, turning it into a lucrative TV success that put Lil Meech in the limelight. If these leaked documents are genuine, 50 has every right to feel both vindicated and exasperated. Some insiders say 50 Cent is leaning back, letting Rick Ross's alleged moves speak for themselves, while quietly deciding whether to intervene or simply watch the drama unfold. Then there are those who suspect 50 might be behind the leak, or at least connected to the source. Could he have orchestrated the reveal of these contracts as a final blow in his ongoing war with Rick Ross? Nobody knows for sure, but in the realm of hip-hop power plays, that wouldn't be the strangest twist ever. For Big Meech, these allegations come at the worst possible time. Fresh out of incarceration, he's been working to reposition himself in an industry that's drastically changed since the early BMF days. Social media, streaming platforms, and brand partnerships dominate the scene now, making old-school methods obsolete. If you were locked away for years, you'd rely heavily on trusted associates to guide you. Associates who should want you to succeed. So imagine discovering through leaked documents that the person you entrusted may have set you up for a financial fiasco. Rumors say Big Meech's frustration boiled over as he realized the deals he signed possibly gave Ross the lion's share of control. Even the rumored Wingstop and real estate ventures, once touted as Big Meech's golden ticket, seemed to be primarily under Ross's command, leaving Meech with little more than public appearances and the illusion of partnership. Money is tight too. While Lil Meech enjoyed a surge of fame from the BMF series, his lavish lifestyle made fans wonder if he was hemorrhaging cash as fast as he was making it. Designer clothes, exotic car rentals, none of that comes cheap. The father-son duo might find themselves in dire need of new revenue streams, but with the credibility of their alliances tarnished, who's left willing to invest? At this crossroads, Big Meech faces a dilemma. Publicly call out Rick Ross and risk losing what little might be left of their deals, or keep silent and try to salvage whatever scraps remain. For a man who once commanded an empire, that choice must sting more than any prison sentence ever did. News of the leaked contracts ignited a firestorm on social media. Influencers, podcasters, and hip-hop insiders scrambled to comment. One popular personality tweeted, "If these docs are real, Rick Ross is playing the same game he's always played, and Big Meech never saw it coming." Another went live on Instagram, picking apart line after line of the alleged contract, pointing out suspicious clauses that seemed designed to protect Ross at all costs. Longtime followers of BMF expressed heartbreak and betrayal. Many recalled the storied reputation Big Meech once held, this larger-than-life figure who commanded respect. To see him entangled in what looks like a lopsided contract triggered anger and disappointment. Meanwhile, Rick Ross fans either went radio silent or staunchly defended him, insisting that the documents must be fake or taken out of context. A few rappers and celebrities close to the situation dropped cryptic hints. Some posted memes mocking the notion of trusting an ex-corrections officer with sensitive business dealings. Others suggested that the entire fiasco was another example of rap's cutthroat environment, where alliances shift constantly and no one is truly safe. Surprisingly, among the voices chiming in was Michael Rainey Jr., who's been vocal in the past about the father-son drama within BMF's orbit. He seemed to hold a neutral stance, pointing out that grown men make grown choices, but he also noted that if the documents are true, Big Meech walked straight into an obvious trap. It's a perspective shared by many who think this scandal was avoidable, had Meech recognized the red flags early on. While the main leaked contract is already jaw-dropping, whispers suggest there's even more out there, like a series of side agreements and hush clauses woven into the original paperwork. One rumor claims Rick Ross pushed for an extreme non-disclosure segment, preventing Big Meech from publicly discussing certain aspects of their financial arrangement. Another alleged clause gives Ross the final say on any brand deals or partnerships that use the BMF name, effectively controlling how Meech can capitalize on his own legacy. Some fans say this is why Big Meech didn't speak up sooner. He might have been contractually muzzled. Others believe that Ross employed the same blueprint he used in other controversies. Sign charismatic figures to contracts that look glossy on the surface, fill them with hidden tripwires, then let the brand name do the heavy lifting while reaping most of the rewards behind the scenes. None of these rumors have been independently verified, but the possibility alone is enough to keep the internet churning with speculation. If more evidence emerges, it could confirm what many already suspect, that Rick Ross systematically built his empire on borrowed credibility, all while carefully shielding himself from the fallout. If these leaked documents prove real, we could be looking at a storm of legal complications. Big Meech's representatives might claim the contracts are void due to fraudulent inducement if they can prove Ross withheld key information. Ross, for his part, could argue that Meech signed willingly and that every term was fair game under standard business practices. Lawyers watching from the sidelines have pointed out potential pitfalls for Ross if any element of the contract violates basic consumer or business protection laws. Especially in an industry as scrutinized as entertainment, shady deals can invite class action suits if multiple parties were similarly misled. And while Big Meech's unique status complicates matters, the legal tide can shift quickly once a single court filing is made public. Some wonder whether 50 Cent might bankroll any legal action. After all, 50 has a known penchant for going after rivals in court, whether through defamation claims or business disputes. He's also well aware of how to leverage public opinion to intensify pressure. If he sees a chance to discredit Rick Ross permanently, fueling Big Meech's legal fight could be the perfect finishing move. The big question, does Big Meech even have the resources and inclination to wage a lengthy courtroom battle, or will he opt for a quieter settlement, hoping to salvage any part of these business ventures? For now, the specter of a legal showdown hangs in the air, adding yet another layer to this ever-evolving saga. In a world where loyalty is transactional and reputations are currency, leaked contracts have the power to topple even the most ironclad alliances. Big Meech emerged from prison looking for a fresh shot, someone to help him translate street cred into legitimate success. Rick Ross, the self-styled boss, seemed eager to capitalize on Big Meech's legendary name. But if these leaked documents are authentic, the partnership might have been doomed from the start, rigged to crumble the moment genuine scrutiny was applied. Now the entire hip-hop community stands on edge. Will Big Meech go public with the details, calling Rick Ross out in a dramatic revelation? Or will he mount a quiet but forceful legal challenge, holding Ross accountable behind closed doors? And what about 50 Cent? He's perched on the sidelines, armed with receipts and a personal grudge, possibly ready to strike if the opportunity arises. Some fans believe Rick Ross will weasel out of this scandal the same way he's weathered others, through clever PR, strategic distractions, and maybe a new entrepreneurial pivot that buries the controversy. Yet there's a sense among critics that this time might be different. This time, the alleged victim isn't just a name from the past, it's Big Meech, a man whose story is woven into hip-hop mythology. So as the dust settles, the real question remains. Will Rick Ross continue to thrive unscathed, or is his empire about to face its biggest reckoning yet? No matter which way the tide turns, one thing is certain. This drama is far from over, and the next chapter could change everything for everyone involved. Strap in, because when icons collide, the fallout is anything but predictable.